Hello there. Good afternoon. Well, it's afternoon here in South Wales in the United Kingdom, and it's a bit grey. It's very muggy. We've got rain forecast on and off. We did have thunderstorms forecast yesterday for today, but that seems to have disappeared for my region. I haven't had a good look at it, but I'll be quite happy with rain if it just rains and cools it down and doesn't go humid again. But after a couple of days of the ground being baked, that's what's likely to happen. Anyway, how are you all doing? Yeah, I always seem to start, don't I, with something to do with the weather. Brits are obsessed with it, it has to be said. We really, really are obsessed with weather. Okay, so yesterday I worked on my bird here, and I still haven't decided how to add colour, what colour to add, if there's anything else I want to add in terms of pen or down here. It might take a couple of days or a bit longer before I come back to it, though some lovely person has suggested that I ought to keep or use this design as a colouring page. Perhaps one day it's the wrong size and orientation. Well, it's the right orientation, but it's the basis, it's a good start. So I'm keeping that currently in my visual reference, but I have got a need to do some hand lettering. It's okay, don't panic. I'm not going to hand letter with you. I've left a space up here. I've put the lines in for where I want to put the lettering, because I may do the drawing and then come back and do the lettering in a different way. So how are you all doing? As always, I'd just like to start fairly soon into the video by saying thank you to everybody who subscribed to my channel. It's amazing. It amazes me, and for all the lovely messages, thank you so much as well. And if you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so. For the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be a bit sporadic or a bit as and when with videos. I need to get all the templates done as soon as I can for Fanciful Birds colouring book I'm working on. And but I've done my 2 for today, and I want a break from digital art before I go back to it. I've got some curry cooking downstairs, so I've got something to eat later on, and so I just want to sit, do something that isn't digital, that will give me that bit of break, but still arty, because I love doing art. So this is the Ohuhu marker paper. I've cut this down to be 5 by 7 inches, which is approximately, well, it's 17.7 centimetres, so that's nearly 18 centimetres by 12.8, which is nearly 13. So whatever I said, 18 by 13 centimetres about. They'll be slightly different. And I want to put some patterns in boxes, borders, edges. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do this. I've been playing with different kinds of digital arts. I'm going to cover one side up because that's the quote I'm going to use, and it's not something I particularly want to share with the world at the moment. But this one came to me, and Starshine, Moonbeam, Dreamer. I quite like this, but it needs some colour and shade and some texture and pattern, and I don't feel like doing that at the moment. Again, it's another drawing that needs to be left to one side until I come back to it. But here I really want to put some flowers in this section, and I really, really have the need to put some roses in. So my go-to roses these days are the Diva Dance Rock and Roll. I just love the contrast that you have with it. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. And I know it's not a new pattern to my channel or to me, or to many of you if you've been watching me for a while, but it is one of my favourite ones. And it's something that I want to do before I'll start to do this, because I can go on to other panels, that's not a problem. But there's just that little bit of a need here. I think I've wrecked this 03 pen. The nib is a lot thicker than 03. But do you know what? I'm going to go with it, because it may be just the line I need here. That boldness and so on. So yeah, it's been a busy day. I didn't wake up until late, thank goodness. I actually had a fairly good night's sleep. I did wake up a bit earlier than I wanted to, but I did get back to sleep. And I woke up not long before 9 o'clock this morning. So that tends to put me out a bit because I don't feel I have as much of the day to get things done. But my mind was set, breakfast, work. And that's exactly what I've done. And now I'm having my lunch break that isn't a lunch break because I'm not ready to eat. I had croissants with, a croissant with some lovely lightly salted butter and marmalade and a ton of strawberries, fresh strawberries. A ton is an exaggeration, by the way. I really didn't have a ton, but I had an awful lot of them. And they were lovely, you know, cold, juicy, sweet, but with a snap, you know, a sharp snap to them. And just lovely, refreshing. And I've just got my second mug of tea today because I really did get lost in work. Right, I want to try and keep this edge here free of pattern. And I think it might be a good idea if I actually drew these lines in clearly, because that then would give me a very clear area where I'm going to pop all of this Diva Dance Rock and Roll in. So it's become one of my most favourite patterns. My lines are a bit wonky. That's a function of spending far too much time drawing digitally today, I think. But they'll do, in the grand scheme of things. I'm also doing it this way, not doing the lettering first, because I've been making a right pig's ear out of the lettering I try. And so if the worst comes to the worst, I'll just add the quote, you know, in a desktop publisher or similar. The suitable font. Which is not cheating at all. It's making use of tools and recognising that today might not be the day for me to hand letter. You know. And that's fine too. I do want to try and make these Diva dances as wide as this channel. And it is the same width all the way round. It's just longer in one direction than the other. I'm trying to look, it's going to end up looking a bit Tetrisy, I think. Ho hum, such is life at times. I create a pattern that is Tetris-like. Well, somebody has to do it somewhere, I guess. Except this time I'm not really fitting shapes in, I'm dividing a space up, so it's not really Tetris. It's just this shape reminds me of one of the pieces in Tetris. One of those frustrating games that computer games and me. I like ones where I have to think, where it doesn't rely on fast reactions, where I have to puzzle things out. Word games are always good, as far as I'm concerned, but about the only computer games I do play at the moment. I have an old version of Carcassonne for Windows, which still functions, thank goodness, even though it's no longer available or updated. I do have another version, I think, on my phone, but it's a bit silly to play on. Is it on my phone? Might be on something else. A bit silly to play though, because it's a ridiculously small screen. But so every now and again I play that. And I've always enjoyed, once I understood what it was about, Sid Meier's Civilization. And of course there are several versions of it now, and I think I've got number 5. And I have finished it. I have, you know, beaten an artificial intelligence opponent. But I just like to play it for a little while. I'm not bothered about winning. In fact, competition isn't really my kind of thing. I'm learning Welsh on Duolingo, and I have been for over 500 days. It congratulated me the other day, saying, well done, congratulations on your 500-day streak. Well, thank you very much for that. And but they have these leagues in there, and it just irritates me, because I get in a fluster because I think, oh, I'm dropping out of a league, oh no, I'm going up one. And I'm thinking, do I really care? And I'm thinking, actually, no, I don't. Because the only person I really want to measure my progress against is me. And it does that anyway, so I wish there was a way to disable the leagues, to be honest, but I don't think there is. I'd be much happier. Now with Diva Dance, the last couple of auras around, I just like to follow the shape and not put any more black areas in, just to lighten that edge up a bit, and it helps to separate one from the other. I know that the movement of the Diva Dance will do that. This is quite nice. I'm sort of like looking through, almost like an L-shaped window here. So I'll start another one and then we'll go on to a different pattern, and I'll see if I can think of a new pattern, or perhaps something I haven't used for a while, and just see where we go. So yeah, so I like Duolingo. It's working for me. It's the constant repetition. I'm not making much progress with new sort of like lessons and things, because I'm not very good with what tenses are, and it can take, I've never been very good at languages, so it does take me quite a while to learn things and for things to become embedded. So as I don't have any sort of like deadline by which I have to be conversant in Welsh, I'm doing it just to prove that I can learn Welsh and learn a language. Then I'm happy to do that. And I picked Welsh rather than any other language because I have some big hang-ups about Welsh from when I was in school. So I did do O-level Welsh. O-levels were exams here in the UK that you took when you were, or in the year you'd be 16, the school year you'd be 16. And I loved Welsh until I started my O-level, because I had a different teacher. And this particular teacher was particularly against people who weren't Welsh learning Welsh, shall we say. And particularly took a dislike to me because I guess, you know, I've got a friend who told me last week I've got a really thick Valleys accent. I've got people here who tell me I sound very English. It's relative. So I would have had quite an English accent. And I did have trouble pronouncing some of the Welsh words, usually with some of the vowels. But it wasn't that it was not understandable. And it was horrible. I was picked on and made fun of and, you know, marked down for all kinds of reasons. And I lost all my confidence in doing Welsh. Then it came the day of the oral exams before the O-level exams started in earnest. As the oral exams are always done a month or two before the written exams. And you had, so your teacher would do this and would assess you. And then you'd have an examiner from the exam board would come and would examine a sample of students based on the marks that the teacher had given them to check that everything was okay, that the marks that were given were correct and everything was done fairly, and, you know, and so on. So I was really nervous, and I remember this chap, and he, at the end of the oral exam, you know, I did my best. I answered all the questions and what have you. I can remember doing that. And I wasn't at all sure how well I'd done. And, you know, at the end of the day, I did my best. And perhaps I was, even though I was nervous, I was a bit more relaxed because it wasn't my teacher. And he said to me in English, he said, "Would you wait here a moment? I need a word with your teacher." And so he left the little room where I was, left the door open. The teacher was on the other side. And he had some serious words with her about how she had marked me. Apparently, I'd been given very low marks, and actually, I deserved a lot better. And he basically, you know, he could see that this was singling somebody out because everybody else's marks were exactly what they should have been. And he let me hear that, to let me know that he knew what was going on, which I thought was a lovely thing to do. And at the end of it all, I did pass my O-level Welsh. I can't remember what grade I got. We had A, B, C were passes. A was the highest, and then D and E were not passes. And I passed, and I think I might have had, I either had a C or a B, I can't remember. It's most probably a C, but I said I just can't remember now. But it was a miracle that I even passed. And but I never carried on after that. It knocked me for 6, the whole 2 years, and the confidence in me learning languages had just gone. Yeah. French. My French teacher did say, "Angela, please don't opt for French or any other modern foreign language for your O-levels." Said, "You know, you try so hard and you just don't get it." And I go, "I know, it's okay. It's okay, I'm not going to." So I went for Welsh, which in Wales is not a foreign language. So there we are. So there's a story. So if I can crack Welsh, if I can overcome that, then perhaps there'll be other languages I may learn later on. But my brain just doesn't function on that. I'd much prefer to draw somebody a picture to say what I want, or what I'm trying to say or ask for. So I'm going to finish this Diva dance off. And then move along to something different, because that was a bit of story time, wasn't it? The good thing about that, though, was that when I became a teacher, when I decided to go into teaching when I was teaching, I always remembered what that particular teacher was like. And I'm not saying I was perfect, I'm sure I absolutely wasn't. But I did my utmost best not to treat students the way that she treated me. As I said, I'm sure I'm not perfect. I'm sure people had a different perspective on what they thought I was doing, because, you know, how many times have we said one thing and somebody's taken it completely the opposite way for whatever reason? Or you've done something and it's been completely misunderstood. So, you know, I'm well aware that I can get things wrong. But it was always the forefront of my mind that I never wanted a pupil to feel the way I did. I didn't always manage that, I'm sure. You know, children come, or students come, with their own preconceptions and ideas, especially when they're teenagers, and try as you might sometimes, you just can't reach past their mindsets, what they've made their mind up about things. Be nice if you could, or if they were willing to meet you halfway sometimes, but not always the case. It wasn't that I was a difficult child either. Yeah. Been a people pleaser all my life, so never in trouble in school, never caused trouble. But there we are. So there is the beginning of Diva dance. So I'm going to use my ruler just to divide an area up here. I think I might go take this down the page, so I'm going to just draw a little bit in from that line, because I do like these little sections between. And I don't want to have this going right the way across. I want to split this up. So I'd rather like a section perhaps here. And then perhaps a little one above there. The dividing lines in so I can use all of this space, this one, and then I'll work the rest out. So I'm very quickly going to take my glasses off, which is what's gone down there. And I'm going to have open my book fairly at random and see what's going to go in here. Oh, look, it looks like we're going to be doing some seeds or seed pods or acorns or something. So what would I fancy popping in there? This one has drawn my eye. So I've got a star in the middle and flower, flower petals around the outside. I think that'll be quite nice and something a bit different. So, excuse my arm, just retrieving my glasses. It's going to do this in this section. It's going to be a kind of sampler. Oh, wrong. Ooh, wrong pen. Let's go for the 03 that's not an 03 anymore, which is more like an 05 plus. Don't know how I've managed to mangle this pen, but I have, so it's fine. It is what it is and we'll work with it. And then I'm going to outline the box beneath. So, even as an adult, I try to be clear in what I say. Even now as I'm not a teacher, I try to be clear in what I say and how I communicate with people, and always try to do it with kindness, even if I have to say something that may not always be all that kind at times. When you've got to correct somebody or put somebody right or voice your opinion on something, I always try to do it with kindness and compassion and not attack somebody personally. And I think that's important. I do think we all can have very different views about things, and perhaps about how we would like to see the world run, and things that are going on in the world. And I think we can all agree there are some absolutes that we don't agree with, that we can all agree on, things that are good or things that are bad. But in between, I guess there are shades of grey as to how we look at things. And perhaps there are no one right way or no one wrong way, perhaps, I don't know. But yeah, so I try to be as tolerant as I can, even though sometimes people make it incredibly difficult, don't they? Dear goodness. But art is very forgiving. I have no idea what I'm doing here because I wanted a 5-pointed star, but it looks like we're going to get a different pointed star here. It's cool. We can do that. So it looks like there's a seed in here that has cracked open is the whole point, I think, of this. And around the outside I'm going to put some petals in. And I have drawn in some pencil guides here, because I don't particularly want these to overlap, because they're spilling out of the edge of this little box, but I do want them to touch each other. Again, as if we're looking into a little specimen box or sample box full of these. And then I do want to add here inside. My pen work's not very good. I'll get there though. Do you know what? I can smell my curry cooking and it smells lovely. It's a shame I'm not hungry yet. It's sort of like it's a preemptive cooking session for later on when, but hopefully I will be hungry. So that's one of them. So let's draw in the next one. There's my centre. So I'm going to pop my centre in, and perhaps I'll put the points of the star in that I want to draw, and then just turn these into long thin triangles without worrying too much about how they join together in the middle, because they will work themselves out. They always do. So there we are. This is a bit narrow there, so I'm just going to pop that one up. And let's pop some petals around this one. Haven't quite managed to touch that one, but that's fine. It's just I don't want them to overlap. So I've put more rounded petals on this one because, well, that's how they ended up. We'll do another one here. Again, I'll pop that in. Now my centre is going to be down here somewhere, so I'm going to imagine these lines are going towards that virtual centre somewhere. And then we can start to turn them into triangles. They're making us aware that it's the same kind of plant thing. That wasn't ideal because I'd prefer not to have the petals matching up with these points. But if they do, they do, and you know, so be it. Okie dokes, next two. What will make the difference with these, I think, is going to be colour and shadow. Same with the Diva Dance. I know what colour those roses are going to be. They're going to be red. So somebody there's going, Angela, you haven't done the petals. My head just told me, Angela, you haven't done the petals. So that's really quite nice. I do like it when, so let me have a look. So my centre will be here, so these lines aren't really going to meet up, but we can pop them in so they almost do. They look like they're heading towards a mutual centre point. There we go. And then here perhaps I'll just pop in, oh look at that, done it again. Trying to avoid these and I'm hitting every single one of them now. All I'm going to say is, it is what it is and you work with it. It wasn't what I wanted, but it's what happened. Including a slightly thicker line there because I wasn't very good at watching where I was putting my pen, but we got there. So there we go, there's that one. So that'll look lovely when it's got some colour added to it. Okay, next one. I would like something a little bit different. Oh gosh, look at this. I've opened my page and we've gone to Christmas. Okay, let's try something else. Nope, that one. Oh, what have I got here I could use? 2 pages. Hinges. Things that look like hinges. I'm not going to do that. It would be sort of appropriate, possibly, to my quote. Kind of. Not sure. I have lots of stuff, don't I? I like that. I like that. It's going to be interesting how I do this though, isn't it? I think it's going to be narrow columns. They're roughly equal. And then I'm going to pop in, I've already got one there, like that. And then I'm going to start to pop these in. Now then, I'm just going to go back and check if I can find it. Yeah, they do sort of. So here I'm going to miss every other one. So they're just sort of like rounded squares. And then on this one, can you see how I'm going above that line, same as I have here? You could actually do this with a little line like that. That would work. So let me try that. So like a little C line, like this. And we've seen this before on, it's sort of like, it's basically a Huggins. So here these ones will go down, that'll go up, that'll go down, that'll go up, that'll go down. Can you spot the mistake? Here, this one should have gone up, shouldn't it? Down. Oh dear. So this one is going to be left plain, I think, because that one should be down there as well. I've made a right mess of this, haven't I? So let's just do all of this here, like so. And we'll make them all the same. So we have lines connecting them. It's not what I wanted, but perhaps I'll have another go at this now in the box below. That's talking. Not that I'm blaming any of you. I should know better. But obviously I don't. So, okay, let's do a box below here and see if I can get this to work. So I want this, there, that, there. Let me have a look. Let's do some lines. They don't have to be perfectly parallel. If you wanted to draw them with a ruler and measure it out, I wouldn't have a problem with that. But I'm using them just as guides more than anything. The only ones I want to draw level are the tops, bottoms and sides of the boxes, really. What happens inside? Well, yeah. So I'm going to have, this one's going to go down, up, down, up, down, up. So this one here will be my, so this will go down, up, down, up. I'm curving it a little bit at the top to get that kind of shape going. Suggest it's that, okay. So this one here is the one that will have the curved bottom. So that curves down, so the one next door goes up, up, down, up, down. And then we just connect these ones and make them look like they are individual shapes. And then this one, I'm just going to add some weight at the bottom of these so they look like they might be curving off the edge of this box, which will be fine. So we've got some of those there. Its shadow and pattern will make that come out. This one here I do need to do something with. I've made a right mess right along the edge there, which is fine, because I think what I'll do is, you know, where I say this often, is if you make a mess, if you go and repeat it right the way around, nobody knows the difference. They think that's exactly how it's supposed to be, as long as you don't point it out to them. So that's almost like we've got edges there. Again, this one can be tweaked a little bit, so I'm just going to tweak these by thickening the sides a little bit on these ones. And this could be quite fun to play with, I think. Trying to see how I could make a pattern out of this one. Part of me wants to, let's have a go and let's have a look at doing every other one like this, and then on this row alternate them. And yeah, I'm getting more lines in some than in others, and I'm fine with that. It is what it is. So there we are. So that's created a pattern that I've not seen before. Possibly. I don't know. T. So that one is the one that I'll do, so it looks like we've got almost like capsules there, and that'll come in with shadow and so on. Let me have a look. The difference in the page I've done is that these are much, I think I widened them a bit on the side as well, bulged them out, so these ones are a bit on the bulgy. But how about if I do here exactly what I did above, but here with these particular sections, the ones in between, the shorter sections, just to darken them up. And then I've got a progression here, haven't I, from one pattern to another, so it's almost like an exploration. So that works, I think. And it certainly helps to bring out that more rounded rectangular shape. That is the one I want focusing in on. No colour, no shadow, just pen lines. I think that works okay. Oh, that's actually quite nice. It's very futuristic in a 1970s, 60s kind of way. I know. Okay. So this is a very unusual kind of set of patterns here, but I'm fine with it all. So let's just do something a little bit different here. Put the pencil lines in, top and bottom. I'm going to change my pen. I'm going to go with the O1. And I think what I'll put here, I think I might use that Zentangle pattern Msst, M-S-S-T, I think it is. Which is a wavy line that you add thickness to at the top. And then at the bottom you add dots, so it looks a bit like, I suppose, rain. And you just go with these, how they go, and, you know, let the shapes change as you need them to carry on. So I think that, and it gives a lovely dimensional kind of feeling to the pattern as well, because you've got the weight here, and because the bends in the lines sort of like nest. And here I'm going to start thickening that inner bend there to start changing the shape a little, because it's getting awkward to nest them now. Perhaps here, and then I can start with another kind of shape going on. Nobody says you have to do them all the same. This one's getting really quite... Oh, that one was a really big blob. But you get that illusion that you've got the lines are folding up and down and so on. So I'll just carry on over here. Start to add weight here, a bit like Diva Dance. Or Diva, yeah, it's Diva Dance, isn't it? Choosing where I put that thickness to keep the lines, as I say, nesting nicely, and keeping that waviness going. Lots of dots on that one. And here we're getting a different kind of wave going. Like that, because the where the black is varies with each line, and so you get some interesting sort of like, it's almost like topographical features. It's almost like we've got some hills going down to a river or to a pebbly beach, which is an interesting kind of way of things working out here, possibly. Perhaps just a bit there. The longer the space you've got to fill in, the more sort of like wavy, wobbly bits you can have in your lines. It's an interesting filler pattern. I don't use it very often, but it's akin to what I was doing with some of the Rebecca Blair inspired patterns, you know, at the weekend last week. So that looks quite nice now. I like that. So it's quite topographic. It's almost like a fringe, you know, frilling, you know, being blown about in the wind. There's actually a nice breeze coming in now. The wind's getting up as the temperature changes between the ground and the air. You can tell I'm a scientist, can't you? So that is quite nice. And do you know what? I think I might join the top with a line just to tidy up that edge, but I'm going to leave the bottom one perhaps part way down the side where I've got these darker bits that were a bit icky and messy. I think that would just neaten that edge up just that little bit, like so. So that's quite nice. That's quite a different kind of pattern, isn't it? So I like things like that. Okay, next section. Okay, I'm going to split this vertically, I think. Need to be careful because I've noticed the micron pens, in fact all pens, do take a little bit longer to dry on this paper, and my rulers are picking them up as I'm drawing these lines in. So I've got this long thin section here, and I would like to put a pattern in the whole of that. And I think I'm going to use a favourite kind of shape, which is a triangle. Often you'd see me use triangles in rounded arches, because I do have a thing about rounded arches. There's not a single rounded arch here. This is definitely a sampler. But I think what I'd like to do is to get that kind of repetition that I see in Romanesque architecture. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to split this into almost rectangular shapes. And within those rectangles, that's where I'm going to draw the chevrons. And they will have a half chevron on the end. So I am going to pop lines in halfway down. I'm only doing them for the bottom half because I only want inked in lines in between. There's a reason for that. And it's all to do with the way the blocks of stones were made. If you put all the lines in, you lose that chevroniness. So I'm going to start by drawing my first chevron in. Here. There's one there. This way. And they might be slightly different sizes because I haven't measured them. It's you know, it's a guesstimate. Eyeballed them. So we've got that there. Now I do want to give a little aura around these. So I will do that this way. This is a very common feature in the Romanesque architecture. You do get these. This is where I like these little borders, these thin borders around things. And it's the influences come from that, from looking at that. So that's really quite nice. So then we go to the next one. So I'm going to start here and I'm going to draw my next chevron in. And then we've got a wider area here. Like so. And then I'm going to add the last chevron. It's going to be up here. I may come back and do something in between them, but I may not. So that's my chevron-y pattern, but I do want to put these lines in because each one of these would be a block that would go together to make an arch or like a course of pattern in a wall. And that's how you'd see the pattern divided. You wouldn't see one down the middle. That would all be done with shadow and highlight. So I'm going to look forward to doing this. Now, I could add some shadow in here. I think I'd have the point, this being pointed up, so this side would be in shadow, I think. But I'll leave that until I add some colour to this, because that's my next plan. And then beside this, because I've popped in the sections here, I'm also going to divide this section up. There because I could, although I do want that up a little bit more, because that lower one is right on the edge there, and I don't want it to appear that lines are joining up together. So while I remember, I'll just draw around these sections so I've got my boxes in place. Like so. And then one here. Like so. Okie dokes, we're getting there. I mean, I'm not going to finish this in the time I've allocated. In fact, I was trying to keep myself to about half an hour today, and I'm over 3/4 of an hour. But it's so enjoyable. Am I going to go back to digital art after this? Yeah, don't know. I do love digital art, but it takes a lot of concentration. And surprisingly, it's quite tiring on my arms, my eyes, because I'm having to move a long way to change the tools I'm using and things like that. And it's nice to have that break. I'll tell you what I would like to do is this one. I think that would look nice. So I'm going for, you know, I've got something here that's floral-ish, but everything else is sort of almost mechanical. Perhaps not this one. So I do want to pop in some diagonals. So let me have a look. I'm just going to roughly guess where the centre is there and there. And we'll do it on the other side as well, exactly the same thing. There. Easier to guess this side because we can join these two lines up. And the same here. And then, if we have a look, you can see where the centre line would be down here and here. So I do need to draw lines in either side. I'm just going to do that though with my hand. I'm not going to use a ruler for that. Minimise smudging of ink is what I say. And if these are slightly different in size, I'm not too worried, because that's not the critical thing. The critical thing is remembering that I have to draw the little diamond shapes that we're creating here and leave this white border between them. So let's get that done first. And I'm going to use my finer pen for this. So, oh look at that, I've already managed to get that mucky. Dear goodness. So let's go around these inside. I'm trying to remember the name of the pattern that's woven that looks a bit like this. Argyle? Is it like an argyle sweater? Could be. But we're not adding any extra patterns in between these diamonds, not today. Though you could do if you wished. I'm drawing on a fairly small scale, so. And if these aren't perfect, like that one, bit of a wobbly line there. That one's a bit of an odd shape there, but it's fine. So I've got that in. And then if I have a look at that particular pattern again, I can see that I need to separate down the centre here, so I can create triangles. So I think I'll do that. I think I'll put the centre line in all of these that need it, and then perhaps just double it up again. I'm using a very light hand with my pencil because I'll want to erase this line, and on the edges, don't forget the edges for this one, because this is where I'm going to draw these triangles in. So I'm just going to eyeball the sides. I can see the width in the middle, so I'm going to, well, I say I'm going to try to, I'm not really. I'm just doing the best I can to create little triangles, mirror images of each other on either side here, leaving that space in between, and then I'll be able to come back and add black ink to fill these in. And if they're a bit out of bonk, a bit wobbly wonky, not exactly the same, that's fine, because we'll have that overall pattern, I think, afterwards. So I'll just add some black. Here I've missed a bit, I've got a bit close to the line, but it'll be fine. Again, it's one of those instances where you notice it because you're painfully acute of what you've done. But when it's combined, when everything's put together and this is a whole image, then unless somebody's really looking hard or it's a really glaring error, then nobody's really going to notice it. This is an awful shaped one. I'm making it worse, trying to adjust the lines. It may mean that I need perhaps just a little bit of white in there, which I can always do. That is an awful triangle. But if I fuss around with it, I'm just going to make it worse and worse, and we don't want that. I could have made this simpler for myself by just drawing triangles with a space in between them, rather than the outside edge as well. So just having this central division and colouring everything to the left of that pencil line and to the right of it black. But why not make it more difficult for yourself, Angela? That needs a bit of adjustment because it's not parallel. There we go, it's good enough, I guess. Oh God, no, it's not. That is a horrible, horrible triangle. That's a bit better. That's quite nice, actually. What would be nice here as well is in that central square, is to draw a square in there and put crosses, and then as you shadow it, you can get that area looking like a pyramid. It's pointing upwards. That's fun to do as well. So one last section. I'm looking at this sheet, this page again, because I've got it open. I've got all kinds of things here. Have I got anything that screams sort of like mechanical or industrial or work? Not really. That could do. It looks like a metal grid, doesn't it? That could be fun, actually. So let's go for that. So I'm going to put circles here. I'm just freehand drawing them. I'm not putting a grid in with a pencil. So if they are slightly different sizes, I'm okay with that. Technology, sculpture, architecture. So it still counts. So I'm using my 01 pen here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to make this look like we've got holes here. Now, on that one, I did put the holes, looking for it, I've forgotten where it is. There, I've put them to one side over here as if this is in shadow, so the light coming that way, but I'll forget about that, so I'm going to put them on this side, and it's basically drawing like a crescent moon to one side, or the top or the bottom, however you feel you would like your shadow to be. So I'm going to draw these in, and I will add black to a couple of them, and then I will complete this video for today. An unexpected one. I'm going to let all of this ink sit for a while before I take an eraser to it to get rid of the pencil lines. So I know this takes a little bit longer to dry on marker paper, which is fine, I'm cool with that, because I don't want this to smudge when I do use markers on it. So, of course, I do have Copic, what are they called? The Copic fine liner pens, but they're here somewhere. Like everything, I've got so many pens, it's ridiculous. But they all get used every now and again, so all's good and well in the world. I said I was only going to colour a couple of them in, but I might as well finish them now. So I hope this has given you sort of like some ideas, perhaps some new patterns to use. So I'm likely to focus on this for a while now. Have a break from that. Oh gosh, yes, that does look like holes, doesn't it? Adding shadow inside that, making the white inside those circles, will set them backwards. If I was to add shadow or a darker colour around them and leave the inner area here white, they would look like they're standing outwards. I loved that. I may do that because I may use a gradient of colour that gets from dark to light on this area in between the dots, and then from light to dark in the dots. That could be fun to do, and that would really mess with people's perception of space and everything. So, which I like to do, I like playing around with things like that. Optical illusions are fun. I don't do enough of it. So I hope you've enjoyed this. Not quite perhaps what you might have expected, but you know, you can see how I'm starting to set things up. Said there's going to be some hand lettering there. I know what I want to put there. And then I can see how everything else will fall together. That may be my job for the rest of the afternoon, because, you know, I just feel that I might need that. So, thank you for joining me. Please take care of yourselves. Hopefully I'll see you again soon. And more than anything, find time to be creative. Take care for now. Bye-bye. Ta-ra.